everybody, thank you for joining me again. Sorry it's been such a long time, it's just had so much going on at the minute. But in amongst it all, I managed to paint and prep the Hierotek Circle kill team, which is actually sitting right here, right now. So I just want to take you through the processes that I used to get them looking the way they did, and sort of run a little bit through a reveal of how they look like in the end. So, not going to mess around anymore, take you through the strip process, and let me know in the comments down below what you think of them. See you soon.
Finding the colour scheme for a set of necrons, especially when I never painted them before, was relatively easy. I did want them to be older looking than most other ones have been, so after I had painted the initial layer of metallics, what I decided to do was, instead of going for a shade layer, was just go straight in with typhus corrosion. So I dry brushed the zenithal highlights with some silver, and then I just underwent everything with a layer of typhus corrosion, and then from there I layered up with mostly dry brushing, more layers of orange, silver, brown, and then some shade paints, which mostly Agrax Earthshade and Null Oil. So it was a really straightforward paint job for the most part. But then as kind of things went on, I decided that there needed to be some green thrown in, because this is the Hierotek Circle. The box art has a little bit of green thrown in there, so I thought I would use some contrast paints I got for Christmas just to try it and see if they were any good. I hadn't really had a chance to use many of them yet, so what I did was I grabbed the Eldari Emerald, which I have used once before, and what I did was painted over some of the major smooth armor panels of the necron bodies. And while it did take away a little bit of the aging from the models, I do feel it gives them that little bit extra personality, which I'm quite happy with. And it was really, really easy to paint on as well. I will actually stand by these contrast paints, that it took a lot of the time out of having to paint tabletop ready models to a level that still looks really, really good. I also used the Eldari Emerald with a lot of the glow colors that you can see on the weapons and things. You'll see that as the video's gone on earlier in this different stages. And then what I did on top of the Eldari Emerald contrast paint was just dry brush some lighter greens, mostly Moot Green and Warpstone Glow, the two major greens that I use for most other colors. And from there on, it was really, really straightforward. It was just detail painting. I did my normal sort of eyes with the Warpstone Glow and then the Moot Green on top, a little dot of white in two different corners. And it was really, really straightforward after that, just as and when I needed to add different details, and then throwing in lots of different details on the bases as well. So not too much complication really. And then finally what I decided to do to add the aging back in after having added the green, I took some grass tufts and flock and I stuffed it into a lot of the gaps on the models to sort of make them look as if they'd been sitting still, and trees and plants and little bits of vegetation have been growing out of them. And I'm quite proud of how that looks, because it's a little bit subtle, and see if you can pick it out in the end sort of reveal, because it's not overly visible, but it's just enough there that you can see that these guys have aged and they've been there for a long time. And after that, the last thing I really did was just dry brush some glow effects onto the models to make sure that anything that was lighting up on their weaponry or anything else was just casting some light onto the models themselves. I'm really, really excited to play these models on the tabletop. I think they look really, really good, but that's my own opinion because I made them. But as well as that, there's some really, really interesting abilities which you can see on display here, especially the reanimation token stuff, which allows you to sort of play in advance of like following turning points, which I think is going to be really, really exciting to try out. But as well as that, you've also got some really interesting variations between units. I'm only used to kill teams having units or operatives all of the same number of hit points or wounds, but these ones are very, very different all across the board. You've got 13 all the way down to like 8 or 5, which is really, really interesting to me. So the dynamic there is going to be really fascinating. Hopefully in not too distant future, I'll start doing battle reports on kill team games when I learn the rules fully, because I'm not that confident yet. But we'll wait until that day comes, and hopefully just enjoy looking at the models for now.